Good evening, everyone. It's 5 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Sean Callan.
Here.
Julie Chetney.
Here.
Tom Chapa. Here. Sean Onmacht.
Here.
Tim Rice.
Here.
And Jennifer Salazzo.
Here.
And Representative Leah Norton will not be joining us tonight. So you could all join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the first thing up is a resolution to fill the vacancy on the Board of Education. If I can get a motion for that, please. Thank you, Sean. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Julie. Discussion? Just to bring everybody up to speed, we did have this vacancy come about at the end of October, and we went through the process of putting it out to the public and receiving applications. And then we went to deliberations the last time we were here and came up with a candidate, which we will present tonight. And I would like to read the resolution, if that's all right. Whereas Board Member Kristen Norfleet has resigned from the Board of Education on October 20th, 2025, and whereas the board has the discretion to appoint an individual to fill that vacancy on the board until the next annual school election, and whereas the board desires to have a full complement of board members on the Board of Education, now therefore the Board of Education hereby resolves to, 1, appoint David Crisafulli to fill the vacancy on the Board of Education until May 19th, 2026, and 2, this resolution shall take effect immediately. And can I have all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Anyone? Motion carries 6-0. Congratulations, David. Yes, at this point, if you would like to come up, and Diane will administer the oath over here. Thank you very much.
You can raise your right hand and repeat, say I do after me. I, David Crisafulli, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge, according to the best of my ability, the duties of the position of Oswego City School District Board of Education member, to which I am now assigned.
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And if you don't mind just standing there, then we can get a headshot. Is this in your way, or is this?
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, David. I'd just like to say as well that 20 people applied for the position, and we appreciate that, and appreciate all the applicants, and a lot of people showed interest in the community, in the district, and in the kids, and so I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. And now we have floor to the public. We have no one listed, so it's on to acknowledgements with Julie Chetney.
Okay, we're starting with athletics. Winter sports season is underway. Some of the highlights so far include in the swimming and diving, Cooper Dawson swam a New York State qualifying time and won the 50 with a time of 22:13. Nico Canali dove a lifetime best by 60 points and also qualified for the New York State meet by over 50 points. Boys basketball had a great home opening win versus Messina. Boys ice hockey tied New Hartford in their season opener, and girls ice hockey has a home opener tonight versus Ithaca. And the girls basketball program, JV and varsity, recently spent time ringing the bell for the Salvation Army's Red Kettle campaign. Over at Riley School, kindergartners led by their teachers proudly presented their annual Stone Soup performance, showing just how brave and creative they are in their rendition of the songs for families and the school community. We also recently hosted a well-attended Title I Bingo for Books literacy night for our entire school and community. Families enjoyed an exciting evening of bingo, free book giveaways for every child, visits with therapy dogs, and special support from the Oswego men's hockey team who helped lead the fun. It was a wonderful celebration of reading, connection, and community spirit. Faculty and staff enjoyed a special all-staff breakfast as a heartfelt thank you for everything they do for our students each and every day. A huge shout out to the Oswego Food Service Department for preparing an amazing meal and helping them celebrate their incredible team. At Layton Elementary, they have coats for kids. A shout out goes to the women in Nuclear and Constellation for their very generous donation of warm winter jackets. We are grateful to have such a caring and supportive community. Over at the high school, Central Winds performed on the OHS Wind Ensemble on Sunday, November 23rd. The concert was well attended and the ensembles had a spectacular performance. On December 5th, the Oswego Health presented donations to OHS as part of their Kindness Day initiative. Accepting the donations are homeschool liaison Leah Sweeney and the principal's cabinet leadership team. As a reminder, it's concert season, so come out and enjoy some of our talented students. The schedule's right there and on our website. The Minetto Way Cafe served up some cups of cheer on Friday, December 5th. The Minetto Way Cafe is cozy, kid-approved hot cocoa bar packed with charm. The moment you walk in, the smell of warm chocolate and marshmallows sets the mood. Kids can choose fun ways to build their own cocoa with tons of toppings from sprinkles to whipped cream. This kids' hot cocoa bar is a warm, whimsical wonderland where every drink feels like a mini celebration. The decor is straight out of a storybook with twinkling lights and Christmas trees. The staff is friendly and great with little ones, and the kid-sized mugs keep sugar levels reasonable. All in all, the Minetto Way Cafe isn't just a place to grab hot cocoa, it's an experience, sweet, silly, and perfectly cozy. We would love to invite the members of the board to our next hot cocoa bar this Friday at 1:40 until 3 o'clock. I will meet all of you there. Let's go, because that sounds amazing. It's really great. Over at the middle school, OMS is starting the holiday season off filled with great events. Their band and orchestra concerts were held on the 2nd of December. Both ensembles sounded great. Art students have created incredible pieces this quarter. We are looking forward to our mural that our art club is working on. Our chorus will take the stage on December 16th at 7. We are also looking forward to our Spirit Week, December 15th to the 19th, with our Ugly Sweater Day on the 19th. Academically, 77% of our students have successfully passed their iReady lessons and have shown growth in their ELA and math skills. iReady sets a goal of 70% of lessons passed, and we are pleased to have a higher average number of lessons passed. We are proud of the growth that the students are making. That's it. Good stuff.
Thank you,
going on.
Julie.
Yep.
We don't have Leah here, so we move on to Board of Education, and the only thing we have under there is the market research proposal for 2025-2026 academic year climate survey research. Can I get a motion on that?
Move it.
Thank you, Prashant, and thank you, Tim, on the second. Discussion?
Just real quick, this is the second year that we'll be using RMS to do this school climate survey. We started last year. It is our intention to do this on an annual basis. Some slight tweaks to the types of questions that we'll be asking, but again, this will go out to students, to staff, and to our families. And we anticipate, again, probably February, March for that to kind of go out.
Excellent, thank you. And I just say, the more participation we get, so anyone who can actively participate in that, the more information we get, the better we can make our decisions. So thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And now on to the superintendent's report.
I'd like to invite up our Executive Director for Special Education and Student Services, Jackie Beck, and our Director of Special Education, Leanne Gemeindl, to present on Special Education and Student Services Department.
Thank you. Good evening. We're very excited to chat with all of you tonight about some updates from our department and share with you what's been going on in special education and student services. So again, I'm Jackie Beck, and with me,
hello everyone, I'm Leanne Gemeindl, Director of Special Education.
everything we do in special education and student services is aligned with the district's mission and vision, as well as our core values. And we thought that we would start by talking with you a little bit about the specific vision that we hold for our special education department, as well as for our student services department. So in special education, learners have equitable and meaningful access to their specially designed instruction. And that's a powerful statement for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, when we think about what specially designed instruction is, that's really the thing that makes special education special. Specially designed instruction is really that art and science of individualizing to meet the needs of individual, unique learners. And when we talk about having meaningful access, that means that what meaningful access looks like for one young person might very well be different than what it looks like for their friends around them. So our educators, our administrators, our parents, our related service providers work really hard and work together to make sure that all 696 of our K through 12 students with disabilities in the district, that's 696 individualized education plans or IEPs, 696 young people that have very unique needs that are unique to their own disabilities. So the work that we do is to make sure that every single one of them has that specially designed instruction that is meaningful to who they are as a learner. In our vision for student services, which is kind of the other half of the department, learners attend welcoming, affirming, and supportive schools where effective teaching and learning can take place. And we make this happen by really making sure that young people are supported across multiple contexts. We need to support them meeting basic needs, ensuring that there are adults in school that can really provide social, emotional, psychological, physical support. All of the other stuff that young people have to deal with and do in order to be able to come to school is what we work on through the Student Services Department. So we'll talk more about that in a few moments, but we really want to make sure that we're supporting the physical, mental, and behavioral health and well-being of all of our kids so that we can have effective teaching and learning in our schools. In the slides that are in board docs, we have broken this down a lot more than we have on this slide. We just didn't want to read to you every single thing that we tackle in our department. So this is really just a general overview of what the administrative and the leadership team looks like in special ed and student services. Obviously, as the executive director, I oversee everything that happens in the department: special education, student services, which includes our school counseling, our school health program, our district tutoring and homebound tutoring, medical and homebound tutoring services, our programming for English language and multilingual learners. All of those things happen in our office. I also manage some of the district grants and compliance, specifically around Title IX and DASA coordination. I'm also the McKinney-Vento liaison for the district, that's the legislation that supports young people and families that might be experiencing homelessness. In addition to me, in January, we are going to be welcoming Sarah Perello as our new Director of Counseling and Student Support. And Sarah will really be tasked with leading the K through 12 counseling and social and emotional learning work, as well as providing a lot more focus and direction for mental health and wellness initiatives in the district. So we're really looking forward. Bringing her on board gives us more capacity to be able to prioritize those pieces of the work. I'm going to ask Leanne to talk just a little bit about what she does as the Director of Special Education.
Okay. Thank you. So some of the things that I oversee and direct include our K through 12 district special education programs and all related services. It includes speech and language therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and also our behavior coach. All IEP development and implementation for all of those students that Jackie mentioned. I'm a liaison to our city BOCES and hospital and residential placements for students that need those types of services. I chair all of our initial CSEs, our Committee on Special Education meetings. Anything that has a complex nature to it, anything that has a legal nature to it, I chair those meetings. And then all of our manifestation determination CSE meetings that have to do with any students that have suspension. I also am our 504 coordinator and chairperson for our K-8 504 meetings. Jackie typically does our 9 through 12 504s. And I supervise our district CSE chairperson. We have someone who helps us out with CSEs that I'm not able to chair. Our behavior coach, as I mentioned, we have a special education team leader at the high school level. I supervise her role, our school psychologist that I didn't mention, and I did mention our speech and language. Okay. Yep. So some of the commitments and priorities that we determined for this coming school year are listed here. I'll talk about a little bit about the commitments and then where we are as far as our progress on those goals. So the first was to develop a special education processes and procedures manual. When I came on board, we realized we have a lot of things in place, but maybe not some very thorough systems and kind of written down for everyone to know. And we also had a lot of new hires, including myself. And so it was a good idea for us to put that down in print and make sure that our entire staff and everyone knows what our department's vision, mission is and what we do about certain processes and procedures, especially things that have a legal notation to it. A lot of things in special ed have legal ramifications. We also wanted to expand Oswego's continuum of services and the programs and services that we provide for children with disabilities. Ongoing training and professional development, and so we took a look at our department and said, what are the priorities that we need as far as training and put those things into action. And then also the commitment to make sure that all of our students are placed in the least restrictive environment before we have to go to any more restrictive decisions. So the progress towards our goals, I'm actually very pleased to talk about this. Our special ed process and procedures manual has been completed. It was presented to our teachers and special ed faculty during the superintendent's conference day in the fall. And additionally, we also created a teacher assistant handbook, and that was also created and presented to, shared with all of our teacher assistants and principals. Regarding Oswego's continuum of service, also very proud to say that we expanded to include the following that are listed there. The integrated co-taught, I'm going to go through our continuum in just a minute to explain what some of these acronyms and ratios mean. But we have now an integrated co-taught full day classroom at the kindergarten and first grade level at Riley Elementary. Previous to this school year, we had kindergarten at Riley and all of our other full day ICT classrooms were at Minetto. So now we are expanding into Riley as well. This year we have a 15-to-1 special class at the middle school, and that's for math, English, science, and social studies. Some students don't need all four, so they might just have math and English, but that's determined at CSE. We have a 12-1-1 special class at Layton this year for students who demonstrate severe communication and developmental delays. And then we also have a new 12-1 3-to-1 special class at the high school. And those are for kids who have more multiple disabilities or more severe cognitive deficits. With that said, working with the high school for including opportunities, they've created, working on a proposal for a Buck Bistro that is going to focus on job skill and work-based learning opportunities for some of our students as well. This is a nice little infographic of our continuum of services. I think it does a really nice job. So what we offer is the first, which is least restrictive to the most restrictive, as you go left to right. Consultant teacher services, we offer that direct service or indirect, which means the special education teacher will either directly work with a student in a classroom, or they might work indirectly with that teacher to meet the student's needs according to their IEP. The second level, I would say, or as you kind of go from less restrictive to more restrictive, is called integrated co-taught, our ICT classrooms. We have 2-hour ICT in our buildings, and we also have full day at Minetto, and then the 2 classes that I mentioned are full day at Riley, kindergarten and first grade. That's with a special ed teacher and a gen ed teacher, kind of co-teaching throughout the school day. We offer resource room, where a special ed teacher will pull out no more than 5 students at a time to work on supplemental skill instruction or targeted skill instruction per their IEP goals. We have a special class 15-to-1 ratio, which is 15 students and 1 teacher, and that can be a self-contained classroom, as I mentioned, for math, English, social studies, and science, and we have that at the high school and at the middle school levels. And then our special class, we have 12-1-1, which is 12 teachers, excuse me, not 12 teachers, 12 students, 1 teacher, and then 1 teaching assistant in the classroom. And then we have 12-1 3-1, which is 12 students, 1 teacher, and then a ratio 3 students to 1 TA. And that is all, again, talked through and discussed at Committee on Special Education and based on our children's needs. And 2 other goals that I want to talk about our progress quickly. The training and professional development that we have provided this school year. Our disciplinary change in placement is happening next week, and it will also go through, I think, February and then March in response to a state suspension review. So we will be talking about suspension rates and processes and procedures for students with disabilities during that training. Therapeutic crisis intervention for schools has already taken place, TCIS, which is our de-escalation framework. And then lastly, we've gone through treatment and education of autistic and related communication handicapped children, which is TEETH methodology for students with severe communication disorders and developmental delays. And that training has already happened for our teachers who teach special class, and I took it myself, as did a few other people. And then lastly, our commitment and progress towards least restrictive environment. We have started changing our model, more particular for speech and language related services, to push into our classrooms instead of taking children out to receive those services. So particularly for language services or any kind of small group instruction where they can do that embedded with the curriculum and keep our kids in the classroom. So we're making a lot of progress in that.
All right, and now we're going to talk a bit about the student services end of our department. Again, core commitments and priorities. So what is it that we're really focusing on, both this year and also moving forward? We need to update our comprehensive school counseling plan. That needs to happen, and it needs to happen soon. We'll talk how in just a moment. We are working to maintain our current and also to pursue new partnerships that increase access to mental health and wellness treatment for young people in school. So school-based mental health services, ways that we can really increase the likelihood that kids get the mental health counseling, treatment, and support that they need. If we can find ways to partner and provide that in school, we want to continue to do that. We are committed to expanding our capacity to supporting young people and families that are experiencing homelessness, and supporting buildings with the implementation of a more comprehensive multi-tiered system of support, or MTSS. That's what that acronym stands for, and I'm certain you've heard it before. But one that really addresses not only academic and behavioral intervention, but also social and emotional learning and mental health and wellness as well. In terms of progress toward goals, you heard me say we need to update our comprehensive school counseling plan, and we have really struggled to find the capacity to do that work. So I want to thank you again. We are very excited to be welcoming Sarah with a new director of counseling and student support coming on board. That will really increase our capacity as a department for that direct support of our counseling program and also of our mental health and wellness initiatives. Those ongoing partnerships continue to exist. We are connected with ConnectCare. We have school-based mental health services provided through Oswego Behavioral Health, through Farnham Family Services, through integrative counseling services, so that almost all of our buildings have direct mental health treatment access within the building that young people can get to during the school day. We are currently exploring some additional partnerships through a cooperative service through City BOCES, thinking about how we can partner with Contact Community Services to really even increase more our mental health and wellness programming for young people. In terms of progress toward better supporting families that might be experiencing homelessness, we were once again awarded a subgrant. It's called the McKinney-Vento subgrant, and I actually shifted substantially on how we wrote the grant proposal for this year. I'm very excited about how I think it's going to play out. With this grant, we are able to continue to fully fund a partnership with Oswego County Opportunities. We have a full-time runaway and homeless youth counselor that is housed here at Oswego High School. That person is a direct connection to community-based supports for families either at risk or that might be experiencing homelessness. She is a direct counseling support for young people that might be dealing with quite a bit of trauma related to homelessness or, again, the risk of homelessness. So we will continue to do that. We also now have capacity to create a district team that will conduct ongoing assessment of trends around chronic absenteeism. With homelessness, we do see higher risk of absenteeism. And our hope is that this team will be able to really identify what some of the key factors are and what some key needs are where we can improve the supports that we provide for our students and their families. They'll also create an action plan and monitor our progress toward implementing some new things. We are also able to provide attendance for 2 participants every year to attend a national conference, National Association for the Education of Homeless Children and Youth. And we will be able to create sensory spaces in all 7 of our buildings. And those sensory spaces will really be intended to be rolled out through a trauma-informed lens and to support intervention in distress tolerance and also in self-management. So some of those skills that kids that are in somewhat chaotic situations might be dealing with day in and day out, this is a new resource for them and for other students as well. Okay, and then just some ongoing partnerships that we are currently engaged in and that we will continue to engage in, working with the Office of Curriculum and Instruction here at Oswego to support the district's priorities in implementing the PLC framework, and then also within that, integrating that multi-tiered systems of support framework. Marrying those 2 things together, we get more bang for our buck, so we will continue to work on that together. We will also continue with our collaborative problem solving with the New York State Education Department's Special Education Quality Assurance Office. Our CEQA Regional Associate will help us to continue to address those suspension rates that Leanne talked about a few minutes ago. We will be working with our partners at the CNY Regional Information Center this year to change some of our district processes and procedures to support a new annual review cycle. So for students with disabilities, those individualized education plans have to be reviewed at least annually. So that's 696 meetings for every student at least once every year to review their IEP and to plan for the following year. Right now, we do that work over the course of the school year. So we might hold a meeting in November, an annual review meeting in November or December, to plan an IEP for the rest of this school year and then the first half of next school year, which can be extremely challenging, and I'm not sure that that's always in the best interests of our students. So we'll be working this year to switch to a spring review cycle, which means that we'll hold our annual reviews in April or May and be planning for next year. Gives us more time to get to know our young people and think about what they really need moving into next year. And then lastly, we are really prioritizing creating a framework and a system for ongoing continuous improvement of our programs. That little diagram on the bottom that is super tiny that I can't even read, and I had to write it down on my paper. It's a cycle of assessing, planning, implementing, monitoring, and evaluating our programs. We don't have a great system in place right now for doing that. So it's a big priority for us to do that work. And I would love to come back maybe next year and talk to you a little bit more about what that looks like. So, okay, I think at this point we are all set. We're going to be ready to take questions, but while we still have the platform, we want to extend a thank you to Dr. Kilmer and to all of you for your ongoing commitment and support to our programs and to our young people. We also want to thank our staff for their utter dedication to our students and to their success. And we do want to extend a special thanks to those 3 individuals listed at the bottom as our clerical staff. And I cannot stress to you enough how much our work would not be possible without them. So Carrie, Lisa, and Cindy, a big thank you to them as well. What questions can we answer for you?
curious with ConnectCare.
Mhm.
When I was on the board last year, it was fairly new. It just got launched and everything. Has that continued to grow? I mean, it was starting to slowly get more members, people using it and that.
Yes, I think as more people are becoming aware of it, and we're figuring out how to ensure that we can get kids to ConnectCare, I am seeing an increase in my office in kids and families utilizing that support. I can't give you specific numbers, but
No.
I can get back to you.
Thanks.
Sure. Okay.
I just have a
Yes,
question.
sure.
You didn't touch too much on early intervention and how you and your staff, I know you're involved at the table, but
Do you mean, are
how-
you talking about preschool?
Yeah,
Okay,
preschool programs. Yes, sorry.
that's okay.
So how are we ensuring, and like, walk me through how we are tackling kids who are coming to kindergarten who may not have been identified yet, and then it's on us to identify them and establish an IEP or a diagnosis if there is one. Like, how are we doing with that?
Sure. So we definitely don't always know.
Right.
In preschool, or even during the early intervention time before kids are 3. That happens every single year. We do have, the state has a child find laws that we have to follow. So we do engage in kindergarten screening and also in new entrant screening. And that's probably our biggest window of opportunity to identify very quickly where there might be needs that we want to take a look at addressing. So we do utilize those two systems. In addition to that, it is really helpful that the CPSE, preschool special education to school age special education transition process is very helpful for those kids that are receiving services in preschool. That gives us an opportunity at the district to even go in and observe what's happening for kids so that we can make a good plan for them coming into kindergarten.
Do you find that you are seeing at the kindergarten screening more students, more kids who have not been part of early intervention?
I would say in the 3 years that I've been here, I have not necessarily seen a huge influx.
Okay,
It's
good.
been pretty, but absolutely, it happens every year, and we're always ready for it.
Prepared for that.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
The other question I have is, you had mentioned mental health supports and counselors in all of the buildings? What
Not
is-
all of the
almost
buildings,
all of them?
almost all of them.
What does that look like for a student who needs that service?
It depends on the provider.
Okay.
So the ConnectCare process may look different, for example, from the
Okay.
Oswego Health process. There's typically a conversation and a referral process that happens between the building support staff and the provider that's working in the building to identify high priority needs. With school-based mental health, when we work with the partners that are supervising their school-based practitioners in our buildings, they really ask us to think about prioritizing those young people that desperately need that access in school. So they may not be able to get their mental health treatment outside of school, but if we can provide it in school, they're far more likely to attend. So that's part of how we identify, prioritize rather, how that will be
So do they
accessed.
move around? Like, if a student is at a school that doesn't have a mental health provider there, will ConnectCare go to other schools? I'm just having a hard time understanding that.
So ConnectCare will not.
They will not.
So again, just to provide clarity, and Jackie, please jump in at any time. First, this is really important. Schools cannot provide mental health counseling because that's
Correct.
providing medical services. So we cannot provide, we must partner. And that's why Jackie talked very explicitly about expanding our partnerships. The only way we get more services within our schools for specifically mental health counseling is by expanding our partnerships.
Okay.
So we have Oswego Health and ConnectCare, the two large ones, and then we also have
Farnham
Farnham as
and
well.
integrative counseling
And-
services.
And integrative. So we've got a significant number of partners. ConnectCare is new. ConnectCare is in the school-based health center only, right? And as you know, we have started to look at transporting students from buildings to the health center. We don't do that for any of the other partnerships. Those are ultimately embedded within the building. But that's why we're always looking for expanded partnerships. And just because we have the partnerships doesn't necessarily mean they have enough counselors, right? So that's why we have so many partners, because each partner only has access to so many counselors for our students. So that's something that we're always going to continue to be looking at, and how do we find ways to expand to give kids and families better access. It's not that we're providing, we're trying to increase access to those services within our buildings.
Absolutely.
That makes sense. And then the last thing is about the McKinney-Vento program. How many students are part of that program in our district?
It fluctuates.
It does?
It's typically anywhere between, I would say, 220 and 280 since I've been here.
Okay.
And the McKinney-Vento spans a wide group. It's not necessarily homeless, on the street homeless. It's living in other, with
Right.
grandparents or other situations.
Right, there are a number of different situations, but it's essentially when a young person experiences a loss of housing, that is that's the act that ensures that we can provide them some stability here in school. Right.
It seems like in the presentation and some of Julie's questions where like this, how early can we get intervention? How early can we identify? So is it safe to say, as we look down the road for the Oswego City School District and maybe approach conversation about expanding pre-K, that this allows us to identify and get a hold of, these students and recognize their needs earlier so that their path could be improved? Would that be accurate? Like if we, to keep this in mind when we talk about expanding pre-K, if we can do that, and certainly costs associated with that, but the further upstream we can get,
Yes.
the better the services that we provide will result,
Yes.
in better results.
Yes. Is that fair and accurate?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then 12-month time, what happens in between the 12-month? Like, so it sounds like it's rolling. I mean, certainly with that number, you can't do everything in one shot, so it's a rolling evaluation. But the 12-month period, there must be other touches in between then. Like, what is that? It's not like you meet in January and then the next December on that student and their needs, you meet to discuss that, but there must be touches in between.
Sure, yes. So not every student will necessarily have multiple Committee on Special Education meetings. We have to have at least one per year. There are times during the year, every 3 years, there's a reevaluation that has to occur. So that could be another potential meeting or opportunity to meet on a student. At any point, there could be a requested review meeting if there's part of the program that needs to be discussed. Additionally, the special education teachers and case managers, related service providers that oversee every student has a case manager. And every student has measurable annual goals as part of their individual plan. Those goals are reviewed. We monitor progress on goals, and we send those progress reports home every quarter. So even if there's not necessarily a CSE meeting, there are always opportunities for team meetings. There are progress monitoring and progress notes that are going home to parents at least every quarter. And then there are always those opportunities, again, to request a CSE meeting, just to have a requested review and talk about what program adjustments might need to happen for students.
Last question.
Sure.
Are there any societal indicators that would say that this trend line? I mean, it seems like what you guys have to do, and I'm glad that we added to your staff too, because you have to respond very quickly, and you get these surprises, especially with new students coming into the district, especially with first-time kindergarten students. It's like, wow, here we go. So. Oh, gosh, I forgot my thought now. Hold on. Yeah, I'm going to lose it.
Don't lose it, Sean.
No, it was a good one, too.
That was a
Sorry.
good one.
Apparently not that good. If I think about
I was
it,
gonna
I'll
say,
reach it.
you know where to find me.
Yeah,
You can email
yeah,
me or call me
yeah.
anytime.
Sorry.
I'm happy to answer anything else. That's okay. I
Well,
will-
and what you may be going.
Help me out, Ryan. Let's see how
I
good
could
you
be
are,
wrong.
Ryan.
See how
help
good.
us out.
But what I believe some of the things that you were thinking about is starting last year, we looked at what were the ways in which we could expand the continuum, What are the different ways that we can expand access to provide the least restrictive or the most appropriate services for our students? And how do we continue to find ways to expand and revise that? That's been an ongoing process. And then the question then is what trends are we seeing in special education and or 504? We are seeing a wide variety of needs, and we continue to look for ways to support the unique needs of every single one of our students. I think a lot of times individuals may think, I have a child that has been diagnosed with ADHD. And so if you're diagnosed with ADHD, here are the accommodations that you need. It's not how it works, right? Because you're an individual. While you may have a specific diagnosis, the accommodations and or whether it's a 504 or an IEP may look very, very different. And so it truly is individualized, and that takes a significant lift. And when you think about the staffing, so you have Leanne and Jackie. We're going to be adding the director of counseling services. There are 3 support staff in that office. But when you look at the incredible number of students that the Oswego City School District is supporting, in concert with our incredible special education teachers, with our incredible school psychologists, with all of the counselors, it is a huge lift and a large number of staff that are ultimately involved in this. The great work that happens in special education and student services is the result of collaborative environment that Jackie and Leanne have tried to create at the building level, at the district office, at center level, and throughout the district. And so that's really where the great success comes from. We've got incredible staff and teachers that are really willing to do anything and everything they can to support kids and help them be successful.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan, I got it back.
Did you find it? Okay.
But that's a big number, and so I
Yes.
was wondering, like, outside of, even before pre-K, what indicators we might get to prepare. It seems like you can't be prepared. You have to just quickly react to what comes in, because it's like, yeah, that big number today, you can't necessarily say that's going to be 750 next year. You can't say that it's going to be 620.
Right.
So it's just, I was just curious, like, you can't, right? Like, we can't anticipate what this looks like.
I would say
As far as needs
it would be very difficult
Yeah.
to be able to predict necessarily. But that's why this is so important, this ongoing needs assessment and planning and monitoring and adjusting of our program, what that looks like, how we implement it, and then really kind of going back and figuring out how that's working, and then let's do it all over again. Where do the new needs come into play, and how do we now plan forward for them? Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
We appreciate it. And I apologize, I didn't ask for committee. Do we have any kind of committee reports?
I'll report for the policy committee.
Thank you, Julie.
We have been working diligently on the Board of Education handbook. And thank you to the board members who do not sit on the committee that reviewed the first sections, and more are forthcoming. It's been very interesting, and would have loved to read this handbook a little bit ago, but it's a very good read. And we've been really just cross-referencing our current handbook. I don't want to say it's current, it's not current, but our district handbook is with the NYSBA handbook and guide. So we're adding to the handbook areas that maybe we missed and streamlining it a little bit. So it'll be a work in progress, ready for the end of the year, right, plan. And we're not reviewing policies as we spoke about before, because we are switching to NYSBA to create our policies. So those will be forthcoming for us to review, and I believe are coming in batches.
And we're going to reach out for the next tranche
Yes, I will
of
send that
pages.
out. Yep, I'll send an email out to everyone what
For
we're going to
everybody
review
to
next.
go over, just like
Yep.
the first 8 pages.
Yep.
Excellent. Tim?
Yeah, visitation, we visited Layton Elementary. Had a good tour of the building, the sensory hallway. The work that we've done in the past few years, and hopeful projects coming up throughout the building. And if anyone else wants to add to anything I missed.
It was good. It's I think when we go to these visitations, this is my first year being on this committee, but it is awesome to go and listen to the building administrators and how proud they are of their space and what they do with it to accommodate, the students that are, and staff that are in their buildings, and they do really take a lot of pride in that. So it's good for us to ask questions or just listen to everything that they have to offer and how they feel, their spaces are working to the best needs of students and staff. So it's good.
Any other? No. Excellent. Then we'll move along to the consent agenda. If I could get a motion to accept items A through F on the consent agenda.
I'll move.
Thank you, Julie.
Second.
Thank you, Tim. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. On to personnel. Again, if I could get a motion to accept items A through J on personnel. A through J.
I'll move it.
Thank you, Sean. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jen, on the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And on to finance, I'd like to separate out A, resolution of stipulation of settlement and order. Can I get a motion on that?
I'll move.
And a second? Thank you, Sean. And any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries 7-0. And I'd also like to group together without objection, items B and C, if I can get a motion for those. Thank you, David. And a second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Tim. Any discussion? I'm just going to do my usual. Thank you very much for donations that come to the district. We appreciate them in any form and from every source that we get them. So thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries 7-0. And now, items from the board.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring to the board, it kind of came up in facilities is, working with the K&K architecture and a lot of the building work that we have done. And also this would include signage that we might have in the upcoming construction as we approach spring and summer of next year, the rebranding or branding of our logo and that'd be throughout the school district. So certainly not just at secondary at the high school and middle school and in the gymnasiums, but we would want to see this type of continued consistency throughout all of our buildings. I guess I kind of look at football teams and how often they change their logo, and then there's new merch drops and things like this, but this catches the attention. And while I totally admire the logo that was here when I went to the high school, I do think it might be time to brush off the dust and evaluate some other proposals with a newer look, and push that out there and get everybody excited about it. So I just wanted to, I think now's the appropriate time, as I mentioned, with some significant work going to be happening here in the gymnasiums, specifically what the board thought of, having Ray take a look at this. He did mention earlier, I think he brought it to us, that he has spoken to 2 different companies, one not local and one local in Oswego. So we have 2 options for him to continue that conversation with, but just wanted to ask for input and thoughts on that, and I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, just real quick. It's not necessarily a rebrand, but more of it's a refresh, right? So it's really about taking a look at every aspect of our branding. Oswego is always going to be the Buccaneers, right? So it's not that type of rebrand. It's more of a, hey, are we looking at our fonts? What does the O look like? What does the Buccaneer look like? Is there different ways for us to conceptualize and look at? And that'll be something that a district should do periodically throughout time. And because we're doing such significant facility work, now makes the most sense to take a look at that. And since none of us at the table have a lot of experience ultimately in that type of work, you end up partnering with a firm that understands that process. And then you end up engaging the community as to, so what do you think? Here are some thoughts are people ultimately behind it. But Oswego will always be, again, the Buccaneer, all that is ultimately in there. So this is really more of a taking a look of refresh, and then more importantly, standardizing across the board that idea of font and logo, and everyone's using the same piece. So there's no question. It's funny, I was at a high school wrestling match, not Oswego, but there was another school district out in Rochester area that had a very similar looking Buccaneer, and my son, who is in 7th grade, goes, "Wait, is that Oswego?" I'm like, "Nope, no, it's not." And so sometimes it's interesting, schools use similar logos, and one of the reasons that a school might take a look at that refresh is to ensure that, hey, no, this is us. Let's make sure it is truly just us. So it is one of those pieces for us to at least consider and taking a look at.
Well, it's kind of when you go around, like go to Kinney's, go to Walmart, go to the different stores, I think all the apparel that's sold in our community might have a different version of the Buck logo. So like, we're not trying to keep ahead of them, but if we did do a refresh, then, we might stand alone again.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why there's different Buck logos out there was probably about 10 or 15 years ago, we did this. We went through to redo the Buccaneer. I think the sword at the time, it had to go away because of whatever the circumstances were on it. But there were 3 or 4, maybe 5 different ones to pick from. So there's different ones probably out there because of that. But it's definitely time to redo, take a look at it.
I just had one thing. I wanted to just mention that a few of us had the opportunity to go to see out to City BOCES last week, and Roseanne Bain. I had never met her. What an amazing woman she is. And she did a presentation on the Dignity for All Students Act, which was one of those presentations that you're sitting at. I was telling, I think you this, Ray, that you thought about all the people that needed to hear what she was saying. And I just wanted to thank you for setting that up, Tom. It was excellent. And to really dissect what that act means for our district, talking about bullying, harassment, discrimination. It was so informative that I really hope that we can bring her back to our district sometime, maybe, and we can talk about this over the next few months, to really do a community event for members of our community, parents, students, anyone in this room. I really feel strongly about the message that she had and the information that she shared. It was excellent. So thanks for organizing that, Tom. That was really,
Did
really
you have anything?
wonderful.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
Just to add on what Julie said, to the trainer in the training itself was outstanding. I mean, the message was great, the presentation was great. If we could get her here,
Yeah.
yeah.
Julie brought that
Great
up the
thing.
other day, and we were talking about it. The thing that was inspiring for me in that aha moment, because you take DASA and we associate it with bullying alone, but it's really a wide scope. And for the community, one of the things she said up front, which was most important, is most people feel when they hear the word bullying that you're not doing anything. But through the DASA program, there's a lot of things that we're doing. They just may not see them. So to have a presentation to the community, to let them in on that, to let them, I think, would answer a lot of questions for them as well, because bullying is a very hot topic.
Yeah, it was good.
Thank you. I only had one other thing that I did want to say, and I missed it last time, but I wanted to say it this time, was when Mr. Listkid passed, I referenced him and what a big presence he was in the community. And we also lost Irwin Jeep Dewey, our namesake for the track and field up at the middle school, and what a great man he was in this district as well, and so many students' lives that he affected over the years. And I just wanted to give a nod to him as well. All right, anything else? No. So we do have a need for executive session. It is for collective negotiations and Article 14 of the Civil Service Law and a student discipline issue. If I can get a motion, please. Yep, Jen?
I'll second.
Second, Julie. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Thank you very much, and happy holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. This will be the last time.